When I read the gospel reading for today, the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time from Matthew's gospel, the line in chapter 25 that caught my eye and caught my emotions was this one: "Since the bridegroom was long delayed, the 10 virgins all became drowsy and they fell asleep." I wonder if you are like me, feeling exhausted at this point in time, deflated and depleted from so many personal and social adjustments that have had to be made since our first lockdown last March. With all the stress around the election and the COVID pandemic, and with the clock ticking away each day on the time we have left to reverse the dramatic negative effects of climate change, I certainly have tense and worrisome days where I would rather just stay in bed, throw in the towel on the present reality, and find some way to escape responsibility for all that is now on my plate and all that is on our large collective plate. I'm now 9 months in to looking for that bridegroom to appear. Sure, I want that prince riding along the shoreline on his commanding stallion, scattering the sand and the foam into fountains of sun-drenched joy and delight, to come, and come now, and bring a six-pack or a keg. Well, that's not going to happen, not like that anyway. Jesus sent his disciples out 2 by 2 to do his work of healing, serving, and freeing people who needed healing and serving and freeing. And he told them, and he tells us now, to expect a cross in life and to take it up each day. And indeed, we have our crosses now. Along with personal crosses, our collective cross today looks like a divided country. Whether or not the news that Joe Biden is now the president-elect of the United States of America makes you happy or leaves you frustrated, the fact is that we are going to have to work hard now and in the years ahead to become one nation under God. The United States used to be considered a light to the world. We can still be that light, but the darkness of a deeply divided nation needs to be conquered. This darkness is matched by the ongoing darkness of the COVID pandemic and the statistical and photographic reports we get regularly from NASA and the EPA, offering us evidence of a damaged and dwindling planet. But in the light of our faith in the coming of the bridegroom, Jesus Christ, we have to ask ourselves, is the exhaustion and the darkness of our present time the darkness of the tomb, or is it the darkness of the womb? That makes a huge difference. One darkness leading to death, the other darkness leading into the light and to new life. In the reading today of the 10 virgins, the virgins are waiting for the coming of the bridegroom, the lover and the friend in whom they take delight, in whom they find purpose and meaning, and in whom they find life. The gospel today is full of light and hope. It tells us that even through the hours of the night, the arrival of the Lord of life means that the night darkness is not about death, is not the darkness of the tomb. Rather, it is the darkness of the womb that is the very ground of new life and new possibility. It is possible to become one nation, united in vision and purpose. It is possible to defeat a virus. It is possible to change from fuels that produce greenhouse gases to natural energy resources that can save the planet, our common home, as Pope Francis likes to call it. Our challenge then is not to grow drowsy, not to throw in the towel, not to fall asleep, not to give in to fatalism and exhaustion. What can we do to stay alert, to not let our lamps go out in the present situation we find ourselves in? First of all, let's take charge of our own self-care. Nothing can be done if we become so exhausted and unfocused that we are utterly depleted and defeated. In Mark's Gospel, chapter 6, it says that in his own public ministry, when there were, quote, so many people who were coming and going that he could not even eat, unquote, Jesus would say to his disciples, quote, come away with me. Let us go alone to a quiet place and rest for a while, end quote. Just so, we, the followers of Jesus, in these trying times of our own today, need to rest. We need to find ways to restore vital energies. What can I do to recharge my batteries, to fill my lamp with oil, to reference the metaphor used today by Matthew in the story about the wise virgins? Certainly, we can look to friends, to members of our own family who provide us with human warmth and tenderness. Certainly, we can take precious moments to listen to our favorite music or look online at our favorite artists and works of art. Certainly, we can exercise and avoid becoming flabby in mind or in body. Certainly, we can resource the beauty and strength of nature. Certainly, we can eat good food, get a good amount of sleep, and take in good entertainment, the kind of entertainment that magnifies and enriches our humanity. So first of all, let's become the agents of our own health and our own self-care. Second, let's be counterintuitive and reach out to others, precisely at a time when we are tempted to become very self-focused on our own problems, a time now when we often would rather curl up in a ball and avoid more human interaction and involvement, especially since we need to stay inside now because of COVID. Many people report, and many of us in the St. James community do have this experience, I'm sure, that the experience of helping another person in need gets me outside of myself, puts me even for a few hours outside of my own sadness and my depressed self-preoccupation, almost miraculously. In a word, it's just good spiritual hygiene, good psychological hygiene, as well as good Christian practice to help other people who need help. Finally, when Jesus bid his disciples to come away with him to a place of rest, he also prayed there with them. Moreover, Jesus went off by himself often to pray and to be with his Father. When I take the time to do self-care, and when I take time outside of my own self-preoccupation to focus on something or someone else, do I consider taking time to be with God, to be with Jesus? One of Ignatius Loyola's favorite forms of prayer was called the colloquy. And he defined colloquy simply as a prayer where one person speaks to another like a friend. What would it be like to find a quiet place, turn off all the electronic devices, imagine Jesus or God at my side, and then just speak to him as a friend speaks to a friend, and let him speak to me as a friend? What would we say to one another at this time, a time that is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What am I expecting and hoping for at this time? What do I want to ask for? What do I need? And what do I assess that I can give in this time of waiting for the bridegroom to arrive?